Staying with this story, we're going to bring in Riccardo Dugulin, senior analyst at Drum Cusack and expert on travel security trends in Europe and the Middle East. Riccardo, thank you very much for your time this evening here on France 24. Now, Spanish authorities say they're treating this as a terror attack. Sadly, Spain is no stranger to terrorism.
Yeah, the tactics used and the area in which that was targeted by attack clearly show that this was a terrorist attack. And Spain has been targeted in the past by Al-Qaeda in a very complex and very deadly attack in 2004. And since 2011, with the rise of the Islamic State in 2014 as well, there has been a trend that saw Spain becoming a transit area for radical Islamists and the point of recruitment and financing for those groups. What today marks is the first major attack in the recent years in Spain, and it shows how militants have the will and the capacity of conducting crude and raw attacks in major cities targeting major touristic locations.
Now, is the attack in Barcelona perhaps proof that this so-called low-tech terrorism is on the rise, as we saw in Nice and in Berlin recently? Attackers don't need guns or bombs to cause harm and wreak havoc.
Yes, definitely. That's a totally correct statement. What we see is while militant groups may have problems organizing complex attacks that require exactly the acquisition of weapons, the command and control structure, and some kind of tactical understanding of the situation, single assailants or lone wolf can, with very limited investment, conduct very deadly attacks. And this is something that will be a rising trend in Western Europe because the ideology of threat groups such as radical Islamist groups, is an ideology that is growing. And the threat posed by the ideology is growing. And so there will be an increased number of single assailants or single militants that will have the willingness to conduct such attacks.
So if attackers don't need much these days to cause terror, wreak havoc, how can countries then protect themselves?
So this is a two-way answer on this. On one side, there is the absolute need to quickly conduct physical measures in areas that may be more exposed. Here, for example, in Las Ramblas, there is the need to cover the territory with hardened surfaces so that cars cannot do these kind of attacks. But then the issue is a more in-depth one, and there is the need of conducting large-scale intelligence operations to be able to garner as much information as possible about networks of people who share the same kind of ideology. This is an issue that is very much seen in France, in the UK, in Germany, but in other countries such as Italy, Spain, and Belgium, this is something that is definitely an issue of how to garner intelligence and how to interpret it and analyze it the fastest way possible to prevent further attacks.
And had there been any security concerns in Spain leading up to this attack? Do we know why Spain was targeted?
Well, so as long as we don't have all the information about the profile of the attacker, that's a bit difficult to make as a point. But Spain has been on the radar of militant groups for the last decade, and within the ideology of such groups, Spain is a country that holds a strong propaganda message for carrying out attacks. It's a Southern European country with a lot of ties with the wider Mediterranean, and also what we have seen recently, the willingness of terrorist groups to target major touristic locations. This has been seen in Turkey, in France, in Spain today. In the UK, so that's really the point of it's conducting attacks that will have a strong impact both on the sociological as well as the economic side of countries.
Okay, Riccardo Dugulin, thank you so much for that analysis there. Senior analyst at Drum Cusack and also expert on travel security trends in Europe. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.